Okay, let's see if this interests anybody. This is what I propose to put on my DD-149, correction of my DD-214, and my subsequent orders. And you can see Friday, November 14th, 2025. Yes, it's early. No, I can't sleep. So anyway, first section here, you can see my high-tech notepad that I've got going here, but first section lists section 13, which is what I want corrected and what relief I'm looking for. So, and you can see here, correction of sections 26 and 28 of my DD-214 and my separation orders to reflect lawful reason for separation. Relief in the form of reasonable recompense of benefits denied or omitted by erroneously applied, inapplicable, or repealed law and or regulation from the date of my separation to the date of error correction and restoration of benefits moving forward. I think that pretty much covers it. Section 26 and 28. 26 is the description in plain text of why I was discharged. I'll reference that here in a minute, and 28 is the discharge code. So, and then here in section 15 and 18, this is why I think the board should update my DD-214. Now, my DD-214 was issued, well, the orders were completed and finalized in March of 1990. And basically I had completed basic training, basic enlisted sub school, and was in the middle of basic electronic rate training in the Navy at the time of my discharge. So, and was serving honorably, which states so on my DD-214. Maintaining a 3.6 grade average through basic, BERT, BES, and BERT. So there's no release for cause, but I think that I kind of cover the rest of this in this next part. So, according to the plain text of Titles 10 and 38 of the United States Code, no one in my chain of command was authorized to release active duty enlisted personnel from honorable service prior to 1 year from the date of the end of the enlistment term or 3 years, except under specific circumstances clearly defined by law. And near as I can tell, according to Cornell Law School's information that I was finding, that there were a couple of sections in 38 USC that were repealed in 1994. So maybe this is how my discharge was processed. Don't really know. I'm not a law student. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a knucklehead from East Tennessee. So, since we were not at war at the time the orders were issued, the President was not authorized to discharge me from service by any means not codified by law, and the Secretary of Defense was not authorized by law to discharge me from service by any means other than the codified exceptions. Therefore, it is my belief that any regulation created, 38 CFR, which is, well, you'll see it referenced again here, I'll explain it, or authority delegated by the office of SecDef or POTUS would be superseded by codified law. So 38 CFR, basically in my denial letter for or my letter from the VA denying me benefits references 38 CFR, which is the minimum time served, and Title 10 and Title 38 of U.S. Code both reference the specific circumstances for military personnel. It's all part of the code. This is law basically voted on by Congress. So, and that's who controls who goes into the military according to the Constitution. So here we go. Section 1A of my recommendation for separation lists defective enlistment. And this is just where my commanders were, recommending that, hey, maybe we should let this guy go. And the code for defective enlistment, which I put here, which excludes active duty personnel. Defective enlistment, according to what I could find, is only there for people serving in the reserves or National Guard. Does not apply. And then the next part says, by reason of psoriasis. And so this is a condition I was born with, caused by an overactive immune. So, which I just, I'm focusing on the fact that is a medical condition which should place my reason for separation under the exception of medical disability. So, essentially what I'm talking about there is the exceptions listed to early discharge somebody from active duty honorable service for not for cause, or for government expediency. Those laws potentially have been repealed or do not or cannot apply. And so therefore, this is the only one of the exceptions that would allow active duty service personnel to be, discharged early. So, and I go on to say, as I had not served long enough to be considered for a voluntary discharge, my honorable service includes me for benefits. I can find no other codified exception that would apply to my circumstance. Any legal exception excludes me from minimum time served laws and regulations. And if no legal exception is applied, my orders and separation were or are unlawful. It is also my belief that my separation orders in DD 214 were issued in good faith, however erroneous the stated or coded reason, that any agreements or waivers signed by me prior to the correction of the errors should be considered null and void in regards to the errors, and all other aspects of my orders and military or medical record are factual and not in dispute. I stand by my oath given at time of induction, and if recalled for service, I will report for duty. And this is me just trying to be as succinct as I can be, and let them know, hey, you're not going to be able to bureaucratically weasel out of, oh, hey, you didn't serve the minimum time. Well, guess what? That's immaterial. No one could legally discharge me early. The chain of command is the chain of command. Look it up in the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I followed all laws. My discharge paperwork show that I was never AWOL. My GPA was a 3.6. There was no legal cause to discharge me early. And it references as part of my recommendation for discharge that I was guaranteed service in the submarine force, and I think that was something that they could do back then. And but those laws have since been repealed, and you have to remember this is 1990. Current date is 2025. So yeah, and they just back in September is when I got, I believe it was late October is when I got my denial letter for my VA benefits. So anybody who's thinking that, oh yeah, I'm rushing right into this, I've been pretty impatient. I only waited 35 years. But anyway, this is just to put it out there. If anybody's got an opinion on a portion of this that I missed, I'm open for discussion. Emails in the doobly-doo, as they say. Kick me one. Let me know you're looking at it or researching. My veterans advocate has not gotten back to me. I emailed him this earlier on this week, and I've been refining it all week, so I can go out and pick up cans by the side of the road in order to be able to afford to send this certified mail to the board and maybe actually get VA benefits. Anyway, that's all I had. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.